I want to begin by acknowledging your thirst, the thirst to see beyond the veil, the pain of feeling spiritually blind in a modern world that is noisy, chaotic, and superficial. It is the feeling that there is a deeper reality, a powerful intuition pulsing within you, but that, for some reason, you cannot access it. It is the frustration with your own rational mind, which talks non-stop, which doubts everything and keeps you stuck on the surface of things while your soul yearns for depth. It is because of this legitimate thirst that we need, with great respect and clarity, to decode the words of the title of this meeting from the perspective of Carl Jung's deep psychology. When we speak of the third eye, we are not referring to a mystical organ that must be forcibly open. We are using a powerful metaphor for what Jung called the transcendent function of the psyche, your soul's innate ability to unite opposites, conscious and unconscious, logic and intuition, to create a third perspective, a vision that transcends conflict. When we speak of the Jung frequency, we are not talking about a sound you hear with your ears. We are talking about a state of being that you generate internally. It is the frequency of psychic coherence, of respectful dialogue between your ego and the vastness of yourself. And when we speak of reprogramming the pineal gland, we are not talking about some mystical act of biohack, but rather a natural consequence. Your pineal gland, like a sensitive biological antenna, responds to the quality of your consciousness. By generating the Jung frequency, you create the neurochemical environment of peace and coherence that allows this antenna to pick up the subtlest signals of your intuition. So the promise of this video is not a magical zap that will activate you from the outside in. The immediate activation that the title proposes is, in fact, a choice that you can make right now. The choice to begin a new relationship with your inner world, a relationship of listening, respect, and dialogue. We will give you the understanding and the technique so that you can make this choice and begin this process the moment you finish watching this video. What if the switch for your inner vision, for your third eye, was not hidden in an ancient secret or in an external frequency, but in your own ability to silence the external noise and finally, with courage, answer the call that comes from within? Our journey to activate inner vision begins by deconstructing a great source of frustration. It is the pain of trying to follow popular spiritual recipes and feeling absolutely nothing. It's the feeling of failure that comes after meditating for hours, trying to force a chakra to open, only to be confronted with more thoughts, more anxiety, and the belief that maybe you're not spiritual enough, or that there's something wrong with you. What Jung's psychology teaches us is that inner vision comes not from an effort to see something mystical, but from our ability to hold the tension of opposites within ourselves. He called this ability the transcendent function. Our soul's growth, true vision, happens when we are able to look at a major conflict in our life. For example, my desire for security versus my desire for freedom. And instead of choosing one side and repressing the other, we are able to hold the tension between these two poles. It is from this tension, this impasse, that a third way, a creative and completely unexpected solution, transcends the conflict. This new perception, this solution that does not come from logic, is the true vision of the third eye. And herein lies the revelation that can completely change your practice. You don't need to empty your mind to activate your intuition. Quite the opposite. You need to create a conscious dialogue with everything that exists in it. Deep insight is not born of emptiness, but of the alchemical union between your light, which is your rational consciousness, and your darkness, which is your unconscious, full of symbols and emotion. True clarity does not come from ignoring the chaos within, but from learning to dance with it. To begin activating this function, we invite you to do a diagnosis of opposites. Take a notebook and identify a major conflict or indecision that is present in your life right now. Then write down on a piece of paper the two opposite poles of this conflict. For example, on one side, staying in my secure and stable job. On the other side, following my risky and uncertain passion. The simple act of recognizing and honoring the validity of both desires without judgment is the first step to creating the necessary tension that will activate the transcendent function, the only one capable of showing you a third solution that your logical mind cannot yet see. Think about how your two physical eyes work. Each of them sees the world from a slightly different perspective, creating two flat and separate images. It is your brain that unites these two images to create the magical perception of depth, of 3D. In the same way, your conscious ego and your unconscious are your two psychic eyes, and the transcendent function is the brain of your soul, the part of you that brings these two different visions together to give you insight into the depth, meaning, and hidden pattern that exists within your reality. So what prevents us from accessing this vision of the soul? What blocks our third eye? The pain we feel here is that of disconnection. It is the sensation of living inside a concrete box, of feeling mentally foggy, spiritually dry, and completely cut off from the magic, mystery, and wonder of life. It is like watching a black and white movie, knowing that somewhere it exists in vibrant color, but not knowing how to change the channel. There is much talk about the calcification of the pineal gland by external factors, but Jung's depth psychology invites us to look at a much more intimate and powerful cause. The real calcification that blocks your inner vision is not primarily physical, it is psychological. It is the tyranny of the rational ego. It is our logical mind's fear of the irrational, the unknown, the uncontrollable that inhabits our own unconscious. It is the dictatorship of analytical thinking, which has been trained by our culture to suppress, devalue, and ridicule the silent wisdom of intuition. And the shattering of expectation here is a source of immense hope. Your intuition is not broken. Your antenna is not damaged. It is simply being drowned out by the noise, the incessant noise of your analytical mind. Worrying, planning, judging, and trying to control everything is like a static storm that blocks the reception of the subtle, high-frequency transmission of your soul. You do not need to fix your intuition. You must first learn to silence the noise. To begin to become aware of this noise, the invitation is to take a mental noise audit. Sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and for just 3 minutes, have the sole intention of observing your thoughts as if they were clouds passing by in the sky. Don't try to stop them. Don't judge them as good or bad. Don't get attached to any of them. Just observe the nature of your mental chatter. This simple act of observation, of disidentification, is the first and most powerful step in creating the inner silence where your intuition can finally begin to be heard. Think of your intuition as a wild, shy, magnificent deer living on the edge of the forest of your psyche. And think of your rational, anxious, noisy mind as a group of hunters storming the woods, talking loudly, snapping branches. You may have the best binoculars in the world, the most sincere desire to see the deer, but it will never, ever appear as long as there is all this noise. To see the deer, you don't need better eye. You need silence, patience, and a deep respect for the sacred, wild nature of your own soul. Once you've silenced the noise, you may begin to notice little flashes of intuition, ideas that come out of nowhere, a sudden clarity. And with that comes a new anxiety, that of inconstancy. It's the frustration of feeling like these moments are random, uncontrollable, like a flash of lightning in a dark night. You don't know how you got to this state of clarity, and more importantly, you don't know how to get back to it of your own volition. And that leaves you with the feeling that your intuition is a gift that happens to you, rather than a skill that you can cultivate. What we need now is a method for deliberately tuning into this clarity. And the central technique that Carl Jung developed for dialoguing with the unconscious is called active imagination. And the Jung frequency we speak of is the specific mental and a brainwave state between alpha and theta that allows active imagination to happen. It is not a state of forced searching, of trying to pull an answer from within. It is a state of curious receptivity, of deep listening, like someone sitting by a river to see what the current will bring. And the game-changing revelation is that you can learn to generate this state consciously. It is not a mystical gift reserved for a few enlightened ones. It is a psychological skill that can be trained and developed. The key to entering this frequency is not to think harder. It is to learn to perceive in a different way. It is to give permission for images, feelings, and symbols to arise from your inner world. And then, the most important step is to treat them as real intelligence, as living personalities that have something important and true to tell you. To begin tuning into this frequency, we can use the most powerful and accessible tool we have, our breath. We invite you to a practice we will call gateway breathing, Wherever you are, take a deep breath through your nose for a count of 4. Hold the air in your lungs for a count of 4. Then slowly exhale through your mouth for a count of 6. Repeat this cycle only 5 times. This longer exhalation calms your fight-or-flight nervous, the domain of the anxious ego, and activates your parasympathetic system, which is the gateway to your unconscious. It naturally tunes you into the alpha frequency, the frequency of focused relaxation. Think of your conscious mind as the surface of a lake. Most of the time, this surface is agitated by the incessant wind of anxiety and repetitive thoughts. And when it is agitated, it can reflect nothing clearly, only the chaos of movement. The act of generating the Jung frequency through your breath is the process of calming the wind. And when the wind stops, when the surface of the lake becomes a perfectly smooth and calm mirror, it begins to reflect with impeccable clarity the vastness and brilliance of the stars in the sky, which represent the wisdom of yourself. At this point in our journey, after so much theory and understanding, the soul yearns for an experience. And the pain that may arise now is that of impatience. It is the desire for a practical, direct technique that can be done right now to feel a real change, a proof that all this is not just a nice philosophy, and this desire is legitimate. Wisdom only becomes real when it is embodied. Before the ritual, understand one crucial factor. The activation of your inner vision is not a passive event that happens to you, like a lightning bolt striking you. It is an act of conscious choice. Activation happens the very moment you decide to treat an image, a feeling, or a symbol from your inner world with the same seriousness, respect, and attention that you treat a real person in the outer world. It is a change of attitude, and the revelation that makes this immediately accessible to you is that to make this choice, you do not need candles, incense, crystal, or complex mantra. All you need is 3 minutes of courage, the courage to be silent, and for the first time, really give yourself the opportunity to listen to yourself. The most powerful tool for activating your third eye is nothing exotic. It is your own imagination when used with intention, focus, and deep respect. And now, the ritual. Wherever you are, I invite you to follow these. First, do the portal breath that we practiced to calm your mind. And then, for the first minute, with your eyes closed, bring to your mind that conflict of opposites that you identified earlier. Just feel its tension in your body. And then, make a silent invitation to your unconscious. Please show me an image that represents this tension and accept the first image that appears, without judgment. It could be an animal, an object, a landscape, a geometric figure. Just receive it. For the second minute, keep that image alive in your mind. Look at it with curiosity, and then ask it a simple and direct question. It could be, "What do you want to tell me?" Or, "What do you need from me at this moment?" Don't try to invent an answer with your logical mind. Just wait, listen, with your intuition. The answer may come as a feeling in your body, a single word that echoes in your mind, or the image itself may begin to move or transform. Just witness it, and in the third minute, with deep respect, thank that image for the message or for its presence, and then, slowly, open your eye. And the final and most important step, immediately take a notebook and write or draw what you experience. Describe the image, the dialogue, the sensation. The act of bringing the experience from the inner world to the physical reality of paper is what anchors the connection. It is what seals the communication. This is the activation. Think of it this way. Your unconscious, your soul, has been calling you all your life through your dream, your physical symptoms, and synchronicity, but you never answered or thought it was a mistake. The practice of active imagination, this 3-minute ritual, is the act of consciously answering that call for the first time in your life and saying, with total presence and sincerity, "I am listening." After performing the activation ritual, one last pain may arise, that of fantasy. It is the disappointment that can come from expecting spectacular mystical results, such as seeing auras, levitating, or predicting the future, and not getting them. It is the logical mind, once again, trying to invalidate your experience and telling you that it didn't work because the light show you expected didn't happen. It is crucial to understand that the signs of an awakened inner vision are much more subtle, practical, and infinitely more useful than that. The awakening of the transcendent function, the opening of your third eye, does not disconnect you from this reality. On the contrary, it connects you to it in a much deeper and more meaningful way. The signs of an integrated vision are not paranormal. They are practical, they are powerful, and they transform your daily life from the inside out, making it richer, more fluid, and more purposeful. The real signs that your inner vision is activating are unmistakable. The first is clarity of purpose. You begin to see the why behind the events in your life, seeing the hidden pattern where before you only saw chaos. The second is creative flow. Solutions to complex problems and innovative ideas begin to appear out of nowhere, as if they were a download from your deep mind. The third is meaningful synchronicity. The outside world begins to speak to you in amazing ways. The fourth is body intuition. You learn to trust your gut instinct as your most reliable compass. And the fifth, and most important, is authenticity. You begin to act based on who you really are, and not on what others expect of you. In order to prove to yourself that this communication is real, we invite you to keep a synchronicity notebook. For just 1 week, write down all the significant coincidences that occur to you, and next to each one, write down what your question or emotional state was at that exact moment. As you do this, you will begin to see, in black and white, the undeniable dialogue that is taking place between your psyche and the universe. Having your third eye open is not like having X-ray vision to see through walls. It is like becoming a chessman. The beginning player only sees the piece in front of him. The master, however, does not see only the pieces. He sees the entire board, the patterns, the relationships between the pieces, the possibilities of moves 5 moves ahead. You do not foresee the future. You come to understand the sacred geometry of the present moment. We have journeyed together today from a search for external magic to the discovery of inner mastery. We have gone from trying to activate a mystical organ to learning how to cultivate a sacred function of our own soul. We have gone from searching for a frequency that comes from outside to understanding how to generate our own frequency from within. The great secret to activating your third eye, the Jung Frequency, has never been hidden in a binaural beat, a secret mantra, or in the hands of a guru. It was all the time, vibrating in the silence that exists behind your thoughts, patiently waiting to be tuned in by you. For the supreme goal of the human journey, as Jung showed us, is individuation, the realization of ourself, and active imagination. This conscious dialogue with our inner self is the real and concrete practice that allows us to follow this path, transforming our life from a sequence of accidents into a true conscious work of art. Activation is not a destination to be reached in the distant future. It is a door that is always in front of you, waiting to be opened. And the key is in your breathing, in your intention, and in your courage to dialogue with your own depth. The Jung frequency is not in this video. It is in you. Activation does not start later. It starts now.